Hi, very good morning to you. It's Gene. I'm going to provide a little bit of doom, and you can, if you want to, provide a bit of donations, and the arrow is pointing to where you can do that donation. Now, depending on how much money we raise today, will just depend on how drunk we get later on. But before we get to the bar, let's hope we can put some fuel in the Porsche that can take us there. And, if we do well, we do a little bit of squandering of your donations on some designer clothes, maybe a meal. It all depends. Let's see how we go. Right, let's get on with the doom. It's not easy finding doom, but you're lucky. I'm a lawyer, and when I'm not swanning around 50 states in the United States, I am looking at solar porn. So let's start here. Climate shift refers to long-term shifts in temperature and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variations of the solar cycle, and what we need is a bit of solar porn. Let's go see what we can find. You don't get no more sexier than this. Look at these last three solar cycles, 22, 23 and 24. They all show the same thing. They're all dropping off like flies. And this is coming straight from Hathaway NASA. It's the hustler of all solar porn. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But you know what? I always thought it was human beings that changed the climate, not the sun. Why would anyone come to the conclusion that the sun is responsible for weather on the planet? Who would do such a thing? What organisation, other than the porn star of them all, Hathaway, NASA? Who else would do that? Who else would come to such a conclusion? But since the 1800s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to the burning of fossil fuels like coal, oil and gas. I'm really starting to feel guilty about owning a Porsche. That flat V6 is unnecessary. When I'm sitting at a traffic lights looking at the guy across the way from me in his Tesla, I really feel guilty, because I wish I owned one of those electric cars that, kept women and children in a job mining, that cobalt for that little motor. But you know what? There's the things. There is the fact that I can rev my car next to him. It sounds much better. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperatures. You know what? There is no worse a creature on the planet than a human being with a big blanket, and especially when you wrap that huge blanket of greenhouse gases around the planet, you really do no justice to anyone. It's disgusting. How big is the blanket? Here's a quick look at the blanket. It's only 0.4%, yeah? But here's the deal. It goes a long way. 0.4% of a big thing is quite a lot, right? So even though the majority of the naturally occurring CO2 in the atmosphere is larger than larger than our blanket, it's more of a king size or super king size blanket. Our blanket is sufficient enough to warm the planet, and you can see, there you go. What is it? 0.012%? That's a huge blanket. That keeps a lot of heat in. If you're snuggled up in that blanket, you're going to be warm. Trust me. If you're a planet, you're going to be warm. It's only been for the last 220 years human beings have been dirty human beings carrying carbon blankets around with them. There could be a lot of other things that have happened since then. Now we've got transgenders. Maybe they could be part of the climate. And I don't know. This new theory of wokeness could be part of the climate activity. We just don't know. We've got to focus in on these things, and it's all evidence. We're all gathering the evidence as we go along. We're just trying to work out what is causing the problems. Like I said, you're lucky. You've got a lawyer who generally in his pastime sells a lot of t-shirts. He's got a ranch program going. We're going to get a couple of RVs on there. We're going to rent them out to a few of our observers, and we're going to make a lot of cash. And we're going to do a lot of drugs and shit, and we're just going to have lots of fires and things like that. But generally, it's only been the last 220 years since human beings were causing the majority of the problems. Before then, we never cooked on open fires. We weren't running round with spears and things like that. You know, we've just done our thing. Now we've got these big flat V6 Porsches. You know, we just do our bit, don't we? We do our thing. There's nothing to see here, Congressman. Nothing at all. There's nothing in it. It's all conspiracy. People that are talking about these things, well, it's just a conspiracy. It's got nothing at all to do with organisations that really are against food processing plants. And the fact that they keep burning down is nothing at all to do with anything. I don't know, cyber attacks, what are you talking about? Food and agricultural. Processing food causes emissions of carbon dioxide, methane and other greenhouse gases in various ways. Deforestation, clearing of land for agricultural and grazing, digestion by cows and sheep, the production and use of fertilisers, manure for growing crops, all causes emissions, as does the use of energy to run farm equipment, fishing boats, usually with fossil fuels. Emissions also come from packaging and distributing food. Nothing to say. This is just a conspiracy. This is the world's largest meat processing company has paid the equivalent of $11 million or £7.8 million in ransom to put an end to a major cyber attack. It's not like people are really going out after these food processing plants. It's not. It's just a coincidence. See, I told you it was just a conspiracy. What you've got to understand, at the end of the day, is that it's a risky business, packaging food. There is always an element that a flame can break out and cause major fire damage at any particular time. And it was lucky for the owners of this facility in Virginia that it only took firefighters a couple of hours or so to put it out. But the fact that there is more than one going up in flames or being hacked is just a conspiracy. There is nothing to see here, Mr. Congressman. You see, it's people on social media. They're the ones that are causing this. Social media users are sharing the claim that there is a planned increase in fires at food processing plants and purposefully to create food shortages. This guy, Charlie, says food processing plants don't just accidentally burn down at this rate, and they certainly don't coincidentally become landing pads for planes to crash into at the rate they are. I don't think there's anything in it. What people really need to know is that just because one or two planes crash into food processing plants, it doesn't mean that there's something else behind it. It could be for a lot of reasons. He could have been drinking at the same bar I'm going to be drinking later on, that pilot. It could be pilot error. It could be a mechanical error. You know, people just do not think of any other possibilities that could cause it. It could be, due to the magnetic pole shift, and he's got the old-fashioned compass in his cockpit. This could be a good reason why that plane has hit, a food processing unit, or actually more than one there. So we've got one plane that crashed into General Mills plant in Georgia, and coincidentally another plane crashes into Idaho potato food and processing plant. Look, food processing plants can easily look like runways. That's what you've got to remember. And with a magnetic pole reversal taking place, that compass is not going to respond like it usually does. So, when you factor in these possibilities, it's understandable why planes hit food processing plants. I've got a great and an amazing business plan for anyone interested. If you've got a spare £20 million sitting in the bank doing nothing, you can donate it to me and I can go to the bar later on for a long time. Or you can invest it in one wind turbine, right? And you can just sit there in the field and watch that doing nothing, just like your money in your account would be doing nothing. But at least you'll be in the fresh air, watching that wind turbine doing nothing as well. It's a good plan. It's better than just looking at digits, in your bank. I'm really not that good at Doom, but apparently this guy has a whole playlist. You can go over there and check him out. But where we really come into our own is in the donations territory, and you can see our link down there in the description, and please donate generously. The UK prices of alcohol are not cheap, and we'd like to stay in that bar as long as we can. So not only have we got to buy the beer, we're going to need you to do that. We've also got to put a bit of fuel in the Porsche Cayman, and that's going to take us there in a bit of style. So donate freely and as much as you like. And just before I say what I usually do, I'd like to leave you with this truly amazing and astonishing scientific fact. The sun is yellow and round. As always guys, bye for now.